To see it go through your town and put people's lives in danger that you know in your own hometown, it's sort of a different feeling other than just a normal event that you cover. I really wasn't prepared to see that amount of damage and take in that amount of people's emotions.
Couldn't tell really where we were because we weren't familiar with Hattiesburg. We thought that it would look like a hospital district or something.
Is anybody injured? Is there any injuries over here? Oh my God.
And as we came through some of the damage, we looked up and we could see the sign for the University of Southern Mississippi. I was very nervous about what we might see.
It's terrible. We're in Hattiesburg. It's terrible. It just got destroyed. It's terrible. We're on the whole way. No, we're helping people. We're helping people. University of Southern Mississippi just got destroyed. We're helping people. So just pray for them, okay? Just pray for them. Terrible. We're in Hattiesburg. It's terrible. It just got destroyed. We're on the whole way. No, we're helping people.
I knew there was going to be people that had died. How many, I didn't know. We were hoping it would be low.
Watch out for the line.
All the emergency responders were all ready to go. It was very impressive how quickly they were out there.
I made my way checking for any victims. I came across a young lady from the University of Alabama. She was sitting in her car, terrified, because she had just rode out the tornado. She had a cat and a hedgehog with her. And so we grabbed the cat, grabbed the hedgehog, and I went and took her inside of a girl's dorm and told them to take care of her, give her any assistance that she needed.
One of the on-campus residence halls was hit by the storm. It didn't completely collapse it, but it blew out a lot of the windows and knocked off good chunks of it.
Luckily for us, no deaths were reported from our campus. But at the time, we didn't know about the rest of the city of Hattiesburg.
I took over driving and I raced over to my mom and dad's house. I knew my dad had a weather radio in the house. Dad takes his weather seriously. They were safe. They were okay. I remember we were in my parents' driveway after all this happened. Dad was helping me tape up the back glass. And I remember seeing in the sky, you could still see just an angry sky. It looked like another storm was heading our way.
He said there's a gas leak and a fire. Oh, look at that church, man. It's like everything is... Look at that. The telephone pole. That is where we crossed in front of it, right there.
We went back onto Hardy Street, immediately after it had happened, and it was just a swath of land that was just chewed up. There was just destruction and people wandering around in it.
Look at that.
It was so dark and you couldn't see, all the electricity was out. I was just awestruck at the power of this thing, at the wind. This was just wind.
This is what we were out running. Look down there. Hank, look what happened. This is what, it was right behind us.
It kind of hit us all of a sudden, like, we've got animals at home, like, have our homes been destroyed? We first went to Hank and Corley's house. It was fine. My house, it's fine. But the drive home is where we started seeing a lot of destruction.
Yeah.
We started going through the neighborhoods on foot, with the assistance of the fire department, checking for anyone injured. Some houses, there was nothing left but a slab. And, you know, they would wonder if the people were injured or anything like that.
Copy. We're just a little bit past East 7th Street.
That's the street we're on.
We had officers going into houses that, when they came out, found out that they had natural gas lines going to them and they were leaking. We had officers that were getting sick on the side of the road, and as soon as they got through being sick, they were back in the houses looking again.
Okay.
Even with headlights, it was so dark, you couldn't see anything.
Blackness is a whole complete different kind of blackness when the power's out. Pitch black and it's pouring down rain. There were power lines everywhere. People lost everything. There were people that were crying, sitting on bricks and pieces left of their foundation. People going through china cabinets, people standing on umbrellas in the pouring down rain, pulling out things that were left from their closet. No roofs on their home, no walls standing. You see people countless time and time again crying, hugging one another, telling the story of how they did survive. It does take a toll on you.
Now, all these numbers that you heard out here today, there's 200 homes or 3,500 or 4,000 houses without power. You can imagine those numbers will go up. They are going to go up. The number we don't want to go up are fatalities. That number is at 0. We want it to remain at 0. We were really blessed. At that point, we still didn't have one fatality in this event, but we were aware that there was a possibility.
I'm standing here in Mr. Jerry Lewis's, what used to be his garage. As you can see, there is debris everywhere. The tornado came right through here. Mr. Lewis's family, they were looking out the window and they were watching a woman hanging on to that pole right there. She was holding on to that for her dear life. Now, obviously,
we heard story after story after story about people in one room and for whatever reason moving to the next room, and a tree falls in the room they move from.
One home in particular, an elderly lady was still in the home. She had some things stored in some big plastic crates. She was in the living room when the storm came through. It lifted her home up enough, basically moved it about 50 to 75 feet. She hit the floor, and those boxes came over between her and a corner of their house. And that room was pretty much the only thing that was not destroyed on that home.
The tornado had hit Oak Grove High School. I had no idea on a Sunday that there was anyone there, but it turns out there was a team there at the time. The team actually ran into the bathroom in the gymnasium. Fortunately, there was no one in their field house. You had a lot of damage there.
I met the sweetest man, and I remember him telling me his story. His wife was bedridden at the time, and he told me that he put a mattress over her, and he got himself on top of the mattress. He said the roof fell on him, and by the time it was all over, the entire house was gone, but they didn't have a scratch on them.
We waited to find out if there were any fatalities, and not knowing what the results going to be. I've been on the end of waiting for a baby to be born, and it's that anxious moment to make sure the baby is fine. It's almost that same kind of feeling, and that sadness if you find someone who had lost their life.
We did have damage in the county. We had some significant damage to homes and structures. We do have power outages still. We have about 4,800 customers that are without power.
We had already started our way back to Jackson. We started getting reports on the radio that there's a bunch of injuries. We thought for certain there were deaths from that tornado. I thought for sure.
We know that 63 individuals were transported to the 2 local hospitals, and they were treated there.
The state of emergency still exists, and so we would ask you to be careful on a number of levels. We have flooding in low-lying areas.
We know that 63 individuals were transported to the 2 local hospitals, and they were treated there with minor injuries.
We started getting reports on the radio that there's just a bunch of injuries.
As the governor said, we've got more than 60 injuries that are reported. No fatalities. We're thankful for that. I've always said if we can get through these storms without any deaths and all we have to do is to clean up the mess, it would be wonderful. Continue to pray for those and think about those that had injuries.
When we found out no one had died, we were shocked. We could not believe at what we watched and saw that there were no deaths.
The maximum width of the tornado was around 3/4 of a mile wide, and the path length that went through Lamar County into Forest County was right over 21 miles. The wind speeds was about 160 miles per hour. The National Weather Service determined from their survey that this was an EF4 tornado. If it were running on a path just a 1/4 of a mile, half mile to the north, it would have wiped out almost every business in the city of Hattiesburg. If there's any silver lining, it's the fact that, remarkably, there were no deaths. When you just look at the statistics and you look at an EF4 tornado hitting a populated area, I don't know why we were spared.
If it had been a work day, because of the path that the tornado took, it was going down one of the busiest streets, which is usually packed at 5 o'clock. Had this happened on that day, I believe that injuries that would have been sustained, even the cost of life, would have been dramatically increased.
To have no loss of life is nothing but truly a miracle. We were really blessed in that a lot of our student population had left and gone to Mardi Gras. The 6 o'clock church services had not occurred. Those kind of events actually helped us.
Just very thankful that no one was seriously injured. My explanation for that is the good Lord was watching out for the city of Hattiesburg and all of its citizens.
We started a Facebook group. I created the group about 7 o'clock Sunday night, and by the end of the night, we had several hundred followers, and it kind of took off from there.
Thank you, everybody, for coming out. This is an overwhelming response.
By Wednesday morning, the day of the cleanup itself, we met on campus with over 1,000 volunteers. To see that many people that passionate and that endowed to the university, and it was just a tremendous moment for all of us, I think.
It's been overwhelming almost. At 20 years old, I never thought anything like this would ever happen. So it's just a statement of the community and family that we have here, and I'm really proud of it.
USM came back, and USM has come back stronger than before. The restoration process has been nonstop ever since. There are new memories to be made. My daughter, she'll never know what campus was like before. She won't have any idea. But now I'm able to show her a new campus and a new progress and a new Hattiesburg.
The rebuilding process hasn't been easy for a lot of people, but Hattiesburg is making it. Hattiesburg is coming back.
People around here are tough. They started rebuilding and picking up the pieces right away.
I'm proud of the people of Mississippi, how they bounce back from disasters.
I think it helped some of the cities, you know, Hattiesburg and Petal, especially with the downtown revitalization, and the tornado touched some of those areas in town, and as a result, it has helped a lot of the community, and it's helped a lot of the neighborhoods revitalize itself.
I don't think that the tornado will ever be a defining factor or defining item in the history of Hattiesburg. So I think it'll be the spirit, the resilience, and the ability to overcome that our community showed following the storm that will be the defining piece in our history.